49ers contract situations, some thoughts from camp, and our schedule review for the 2024 season. You are now turned into 49ers Uncovered. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to 49ers Uncovered. I am Mase. You can find me on Twitter at CaliKing49er17. My co-host, as always, is Chris. Chris, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm all right, and I'll be a lot better when we figure out all this Aiyuk drama that's going on. But before we jump into that, I kind of wanted to hit on the Trent Williams thing. Tristan Wirfs for the Buccaneers was just paid. I think he's the highest paid tackle now. So do you think that this is a sense of Trent Williams just wanting to get money, guaranteed money, because he doesn't have any left on his contract? Do you think he's being greedy?
I think he wants more money. They're in a tough situation though because he is older, and you don't normally get paid for what you've done. You get paid for what they think you're going to do.
Yeah,
and they have to make that calculation. So yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, definitely a tough one. Trent Williams is a guy that at least the Niners are definitely going to want to have on their team for the next 2 years. We've talked about it before in the last show. If he gets a ring, maybe he is out, but smart of him to be an older player and want some more of that guaranteed money because tomorrow's never promised, right? Moving on to this Brandon Aiyuk drama that's going on. He wants to trade, still in the building. He just got permission, I guess, this morning to go and reach out to other teams, the Browns, Patriots. We're hearing Steelers. What's your thoughts on all this stuff? Do you think a deal gets done today?
I don't know. I don't know if Aiyuk's bluffing or not, but they're talking about the Patriots and the Browns now. And I'm sorry, but if it's Kendrick Bourne, they're going to do more than that from the Patriots. If it's Amari Cooper from the Browns, that'd be pretty good with a pick or two in there.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of the kickers that the Niners are in win mode now. So to get a second-round pick, you're going to need something that's going to maybe not replace Aiyu in its entirety, but maybe something in another position. The Niners do have a pretty, maybe not thick edge room, but Gross Matos is a nice depth guy. Floyd on the other side, good. He had just as many sacks as Bosa last year. So he's definitely, I think, got more in the tank. But it would be nice to get a guy like Judon maybe from the Patriots and a pick or something. Maybe a lineman from the Steelers. I don't anticipate them dealing Pickens away or anything, especially with Justin Fields. But to get a weapon like Aiyuk, I think would be nice. But I think the ball's ultimately in Aiyuk's hands, right? He has that kind of no trade clause going on, so he has to pick where he wants to go. Do you think that he's backed himself into a corner to where now he's just going to have to take the short end, or do you think that maybe he had this in mind all along?
I think with multiple teams jumping in, I think that can also be good for the Niners. Multiple offers out there, and maybe that was part of their plan.
Yeah. So someone's going to end up looking really good, and someone's going to end up looking really bad at the end of this. If Aiyuk gets his money, I think I saw a report somewhere today that said $28 million was his number. I don't know what the Niners offered him. I'm assuming they probably own 24, 26 million. That would be my guess, but I am not very intelligent when it comes to talks like that. You got any final thoughts of this Hawaii situation before we move on?
No, we'll see what happens, man.
Yeah, that we will. Want to talk about we'll just go over the injury report real quick while I have it up here. The 49ers signed P. Eflin, center, 2 days ago. His first day on the field, he got a calf injury. He's on IR. So the Niners' offensive line struggles continue. Spencer Burford as well with the hand injury, going to be out probably maybe first couple weeks, if not the first week at least. Isaac Guerrero, hamstring injury. Matt Breida was signed yesterday as well, so not so good for the rookie, at least looking like it. Elijah Mitchell also didn't practice yesterday as well. So something to watch there. The Niners running back room. Drake Jackson, knee injury, is going to be out for the first couple weeks. Hufanga's looking all right. He's looking good at camp, at practice. Still not practicing. Spirits are high, though. He's dapping guys up, getting guys ready in the film room, stuff like that. Logan Thomas is now on the injury report with a hamstring injury. Jacob Cowing, the rookie wide receiver, hamstring. And then Dre Greenlaw probably not going to be back till midseason. So no real new surprises there except for the center that we signed. Do you have any thoughts there on the injury report?
No, I was hoping Flynn would be, a depth piece, but getting injured that soon is not a good time.
Yeah. You excited for Breida? You think he kind of spices things up, or do you think he's just more of like a locker room ad?
I think he's probably more of a locker room ad, but we'll see. He's got talent. We all know that.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it in the past. He's done work before, back when him and Mostert were kind of 1-2 punching it. I don't think he gets significant time, but I think he's going to be good to have him around for the rookies. He's a great locker room presence. And then if, the injuries do pile up, I think we could rely on him for a game or two. Maybe not to carry the load, but be a nice change of pace back. So I think that's a solid addition. He knows the system. He kind of raises the expectations there in the backfield. So, yeah, good ad there. Speaking of a good ad, the Niners in week 1 are adding Frank Gore to their Hall of Fame. Dude's second on the Niners all-time yard list. We could sit here all day and speak about his accolades. I think it's pretty dope that he's getting in there. What do you think?
Oh, for sure. There's Willis recently went into the Hall of Fame, and we'll talk more about that, I'm sure. But there was nobody that I loved seeing on the field more, because you knew that guy, every time he stepped on the field, was going to.
Yeah, coming out of Miami, he had the injuries as well, kind of battled through that. Then he had the injury in his career with the Niners, battled through that, went and played for I think 3 or 4 other teams after the Niners were said and done. But you could never, ever count Gore out. When he was on the field, you had to account for him, man. One of the greatest players I've ever seen play in my life. Real lucky to see him play. Yeah. You also said Patrick Willis, Hall of Fame. We'll brush on that for a second. Patrick Willis from 2007, 2014, all with the Niners. Dude, I was watching highlights from him and kind of like a summarization of his career video on YouTube I saw yesterday, and just his rise to fame. It was so quick, man. The second he got on the field, he's out there making plays, so instinctive, crushing guys in the backfield. Quarterbacks wouldn't even be able to hand the ball off before, you know what I mean, or even run through their play action before he's getting hit. 7 Pro Bowls, 5 first team. All-Pro, 950 tackles, 8 interceptions, 20.5 sacks. The dude did it all. What are your thoughts on the great career of Patrick Willis?
Amazing. Didn't he lead the NFL in tackles his rookie year?
Yeah, dude. It was 174, I think.
That's insanity.
Yeah. Dude, to come in and just be the force, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so one more thing I kind of wanted to touch on really quick. We watched the Hall of Fame game together, or the 3 quarters that was the Hall of Fame game before it was ultimately postponed and then canceled. We saw the new kickoff rule. What do you think about it? Do you think that it's going to be good for the league? Do you think there's going to be a lot of touchbacks? What are your thoughts?
I think there could actually be a lot of breakaway plays. Once they start kind of scheming and figuring out how to do it,
yeah,
I see a lot of breakaway plays on that.
Yeah, I like it. I think that, like you said, schematically, you could draw up some plays, almost like a running play. Maybe get a nice, fast one-cut back there that could take punts and go. A real agile wide receiver. But, yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. It's just going to be different to see how teams play it out. Obviously, we only saw the smallest sample size with guys who are fighting for roster spots. So to see the strategy that kind of goes into it and to see how many touchdowns or big plays that we get from it, obviously it's player safety in mind, I'm sure. But I think has potential to be a really, really exciting play.
For sure.
Okay. Want to move over to some of the camp stuff here. What are your thoughts on the Niners kick return situation? We'll just go right into that. We got Pearsall taking Bell and Trent Taylor. Do you think anyone else should be in that mix if you were coaching per se? Maybe like a Debo or a Cowing? Or do you think that those are the right guys?
Maybe even a Jordan Mason.
Yeah, dude.
I like that. That was actually my first thought when I started thinking about it with Jordan.
Yeah, especially with his glow up and stuff. Was watching an interview from our running back coach after a press conference and talking about how Jordan Mason really like is coming of age. Like as far as studying the playbook, I bought a jugs machine. So I'm working on his hands this off season. I guess he's just like completely revitalized. Like he's there. He's all about it. He's like acting like a pro now, I think is what he said. So that's really nice to see. So it'd be good to see him kind of go back there. We talked about a running back that could maybe go off a blocking scheme on a kick, depending on what's going on. So yeah, I do like that. Out of Pearsall, Taylor, and Bell, though, who's your bet to be the kick/punt return?
I could see Trent Taylor being the punt return.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well, especially with all this Aiyuk stuff. Pearsall's going to be in that wide receiver mix. Maybe, like late in games, they might put him, or maybe even like a Deebo Samuel, depending on the severity of what's going on. But yeah, okay. So the Niners currently have 13 wideouts on the roster. They're working out 2 more, or they did. Mike Harley Jr. from Miami, who was undrafted in 2022. He has a little bit of return experience, but mainly just for a wideout. And then Monroe Young, who played 6 years. 6 years of eligibility at Cal. Some of those players in college around COVID got those extra years in. So what are your thoughts on potential, 14, 15 guys, and who do you think makes that cut?
So Deebo, obviously.
Yeah.
Brandon Aiyuk up in the air, but he's going to make it if he's on the team. Then you got Pearsall, Jawan Jennings.
Yep.
That draft capital of Jacob Cowie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the veteran Chris Conley is probably going to be there. And Trent Taylor.
Exactly. That's the thing, though, is that there's so many guys who could have potential. And then the Niners have invested a first-round pick in Pearsall and then Cowie. Now, we've seen Kyle Shanahan with these skill position players that he takes kind of with those extra picks that they get, or the compensation picks. And I don't want to say they're like throwaway picks, but sometimes they just don't really pan out faster than you like them to. I think Cowan has a good future with us, and I do think the Niners hold on to him. But that's kind of what I'm getting at with the question earlier, is that the Niners are going to have to make some moves, and I don't know if they have the positional depth. They have the positional depth. I just don't know if they would keep a 4th and a 5th guy on the roster that doesn't have special teams capabilities. Yeah. So Trent Taylor's a guy that has been in the offense before, and he can run, slot. He can do things like that for you, maybe trick plays as well. I think Deebo and Jennings are locks. Pearsall definitely. But then you have guys like Danny Gray, Malik Turner, Tariq Owens, I think, is a practice squad lock. I think that guy's doing really well at camp. I've heard some good things from him as well. It's just going to be interesting to see kind of where those front guys shift out.
What's your take on Ronnie Bell?
Honestly, I think he's going to be a camp cut. I think he'll get a couple snaps at the game this weekend. We'll talk about that in our next show, highlight that a little bit more. But I think that ultimately he got some chances last year, but with the depth of the Niners, it's either going to be him or Trent Taylor that kind of walk up that last spot if I had to pick. I'm not sure if Ronnie Bell could be put on the practice squad as well as Tariq Owens, but that's not for me to say, I guess. You got anything else on the wide receiver situation before we run over to our last segment, the schedule review?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. So I want to give a shout out to the defensive back room as well. The Niners have an extremely thick defensive back room. Corners, we've had woes in the past and injury and stuff, but honestly, between our guys on the outside, Lenore and the rookie, and then Yakum as well coming in, being the first guy in the practice field a lot. The addition of Mustafa, I am extremely stoked to see these guys roll out on Saturday and see how well our depth does. Samuel Womack, too, as well. Super aggressive guy. I wanted to give them a shout. Okay, the schedule review. We'll just go regular season, and then on the next one, we'll touch preseason. So the first game, we have the Jets, second Vikings, third the Rams. What are your thoughts on those 3 games?
The Jets could be a little tough, but I think the Niners will beat them. Minnesota. Yeah. What's that?
No, I was saying, I was agreeing with you.
Minnesota, I think the Niners should win that game, and the Rams are always tough.
Yeah, I think I always have the Niners splitting with the Rams. Used to be the same with Seattle, but I'm not really sure about that this year. Honestly, I think the Niners have potential to start out 6-0. I think at worst they go 4-2 there. The next 3 games would be the Patriots, Cardinals, and Seahawks. I think the Cardinals are going to get swept by the Niners this year. Patriots still very young. They have Jacoby Brissett as their QB1 right now, maybe the rookie May. And then with Seattle, there's a lot of turnover on defense. Also, offense, I don't know. I guess they're kind of aging. They have Sam Howell's backup. Geno Smith hasn't been on the field yet, but I think he's going to be good to go soon. Week 7, or what is that? Yeah, week 7, the Niners have Chiefs, then the Cowboys, and then a bye week. So I think that's going to be a tough 2-game stretch. What do you think there? They split them?
Yeah, they'll probably split them. That is tough, though, man.
Yeah. Nice little layups in the beginning there of the season. But as we get on with it here, after the bye week, it's the Buccaneers, then Seattle again. That's at home. Then week 12 at the Packers, week 13 at the Bills. That 4-game stretch is going to be tough. I think worst case scenario, they are 1-3 there. Do you think there's a chance they could sweep that, or do you think that it's just going to be one of those mid-seasons, get out 2-2, and hopefully everyone's healthy still?
A sweep is definitely tough with Green Bay and Buffalo. I don't know if a sweep's going to happen. It would be cool, but tough.
Yeah, well, Buffalo's going to be one of those teams that they're always going to be a team that people are watching as long as Josh Allen's quarterback. But they've had some turnover there on offense. They don't really have like that star wide receiver one like that Stephon Diggs last year. They got a rookie. I don't know, man. There's going to be a lot to see because Gabe Davis not there either. Packers also just paid Jordan Love. What's that?
Green Bay's going to really want to win that game too.
No, yeah, they really are because of that playoff game. They had, dare I say, they had the Niners for 3 quarters there, and then we saw the coaching prevail in the Shanahan. After the Bills in week 13, we have the Bears, then the Rams in week 15, then Dolphins, Lions, and end with the Cardinals. Do you think that the Niners have the division locked up by the Lions game, or do you think that Lions game is going to be an anchor for our season?
I think they probably have it locked up. The question will be home field.
Yeah.
And that could be a big game for home field.
Yeah, so overall, looking at the schedule, what do you think the Niners' worst record could be, and what do you think the best case scenario could be?
I would say worst record 11-6, and best record I have them at 13.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think are the toughest games on the schedule? The 4 losses. What do you think they would be?
So probably. It's tough between Buffalo and Dallas because Dallas is really going to want to win that. Yeah. So,
I'm thinking the Chiefs, that Jets game week 1, they have a really good defense. So it's going to be testing, but I think the Niners could wear them down. Packers, like you said, I think the Buccaneers could be, depending on their front 7, their defensive front 7, the Buccaneers. Excuse me, it could be a tough game for them. That Lions and Dolphins duo, I think one of the keys for the Niners is going to be trying to lock up the division before week 17 so we can kind of sit some of those guys and get some experience. The Lions are going to be battling with the Packers for their division as well. Any final thoughts on the schedule here?
No, I mean, it's tough, but for one of the best teams, they're going to give you a pretty tough schedule.
Yeah, I think at worst, the Niners win 10. I think at best, they only lose 2. I don't think they'll sweep it out, but if they go on a crazy big winning streak, they're going to end up, I think, sitting guys towards the end of the year, not putting guys in a position to do a lot more. It is going to be nice because Brock Purdy has progressed every year he's been in the league, so I'm really excited to see how much faster his reads are, how much quicker he can get the ball out there. The Niners got to resolve the Aiyu situation sooner than later so that Purdy can start to get timing down with his guys. I mean, even if they don't get anyone now, I guess it'll be all right because Pearsall's out there. Debo's been running. He only had, I think, 1 veteran day in camp, so he's really been getting after it. A lot of these guys are hungry. I am excited for the upcoming season. Okay, final remarks here. Last question for you. What position group do you think overall throughout the season will come to be the X factor for the 49ers and why?
I think the defensive backs are really going to surprise people this year. I see them being a lot better than they've been. Or I think it's a possibility. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. No, yeah, I love that. I think that it's either going to be the special teams. You got Jake Moody in his second year, Mitch Wisnowski, who's a decent punter, and then just this whole see what we're doing with the kick returner spot. It'd be nice to have. I mean, you can never like fully rely on like a big play or anything, but to have a competent special teams, we've seen throughout the 49ers history how that's come to kind of bite them in the butt. So I love the defensive back call there. Talked about it earlier. I think they're really, really thick, heavy-handed at that position. Lennar is having a great camp, hearing things that he could be an all-pro. So I would love to see that kind of take place on the field and see if it's just not all talk and camp speak. You got any final thoughts on anything else before we end this out?
No, I think we pretty much covered it, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let the people know where they can find you.
At Chris Fantasy FF on Twitter.
Yep. And I am at Cali King 49er17 on Twitter. For Chris and Mase, myself, it has been 49ers Uncovered, and we will see you next time.
Have a good one.